Even Formula One race cars have to come to a complete stop once every, I think it's every 18 laps or something like that, to change their tires,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Otherwise, they're going to lose their grip, they're going to spin off the track, and they're not going to be able to finish the race, right? And so I need to get these race car leadership teams to come to a stop, right? Just for a brief period of time, and let's do a tire change. Let's figure out like what's going on in the business. What are those obstacles that are getting in the way? And let's put better systems in place for that team to be able to race off and go do a few more laps and hopefully win
Yeah.
their race.
Welcome to Heighten Your Success with Sean Green. I got Mr. Steve Morris here with us today. He is a certified EOS implementer and business coach who specializes in helping business owners build better lives by building better businesses. With a background in high performance, yacht racing, leadership, team dynamics, Steve brings a unique blend of strategic insight and hands-on experience to drive sustainable growth. So, Mr. Morris, again, welcome to Heighten Your Success, and just happy you be here to talk with us today and bless the family. So how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a real privilege to be here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yes, sir. I'm really excited to speak with you as well and get to know more about you and introduce you to the How You Success family. So well, I guess we get started. So how do you feel business owners can effectively implement entrepreneurial operating system to boost productivity and streamline operations?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So I work with leadership teams of small to medium-sized businesses, right? And what I'm really doing is helping them with three main things. And we call these vision, traction, and healthy. So vision from the standpoint of really just helping that team get together, get around the table about what's the vision for the business? Where
Mhm.
are we going with this business, right? Long term and short term. And let's get everybody on the same page about that. And then we get traction, right? We build traction in the team. And by that, I mean discipline and accountability, becoming masters of execution and bringing that vision to reality. And then the healthy part, and this is kind of like my fun part, the part I really love most, is working together, having that team work together as a healthy, functional, cohesive leadership team, because sometimes they're not. And then, having worked with the team and got them into that place, as goes the leadership team, then
Okay.
soon so goes the rest of the organization, right? And we just get
Yes, sir.
everybody on the same page, seeing the same things, wanting the same things, and everybody just having much more fun sailing forward in the same direction. So that's where we start. Get the vision, get some discipline and
Mhm.
accountability, and have some fun building a really great business.
Those are all really important, the short and long term vision to know like the start, where you plan on going for the future,
Mhm.
discipline, accountability, which everybody knows that's very important in anything you do, and working together and making that leadership team cohesive, like a family unit, so everybody build that bond and strength. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun with the work, and it's a lot of the types of businesses and business owners and leadership teams I come and work with, they're working really hard, right?
Mhm.
They've got their heads down, running like heck in the business, and it's just really having that opportunity for them to come and sort of take a step back, and to get some perspective. And, I come from a background of high performance sailing, but,
Mhm.
there's a great analogy from high performance, car racing from Formula One. Even Formula One race cars have to come to a complete stop once every, I think it's every 18 laps or something like that, to change their tires,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Otherwise, they're going to lose their grip, they're going to spin off the track, and they're not going to be able to finish the race, right? And so I need to get these race car leadership teams to come to a stop, right? Just for a brief period of time. And let's do a tire change. Let's figure out like what's going on in the business. What are those obstacles that are getting in the way? And let's put better systems in place for that team to be able to race off and go do a few more laps and hopefully win
Yeah,
their race.
that's really good because you said like even though like those cars are going like I mean 200 miles per hour or wherever the speed may be going, but after 18 laps they have to come to a stop. If not, if they don't, it'd be they may not make it through the 19 laps, so they got to come together or come to stop, take care of
Right.
to make everything performing right on the car and make sure the tires are changed, which is most important in a race
Yeah.
like that. But that really bring it back to a team dynamic that makes sense. Sometimes as a team, high performing, no matter the size of the team, you have to like stop, take a break, take a look at what's going on and see if this is working, this is working, let's keep this and keep the team going. So that really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. If we don't come and bring the team together to be able to really kind of work on what we call work on the business, right? Not be
Hmm.
working in the business, but work on the business, then I don't think, ultimately they're going to get to where they want to go to. Or maybe they do, but it's going to be a lot more stressful, a lot more,
Hmm.
wearing people down, burning people out. Whereas what I'm doing is just getting the team to come to a stop, put some new tires on, and then to be able to move forward in a more sustainable way that really, supports them as individuals, right? Them as a
Yep.
leadership team, and then ultimately their leadership and stewardship of the company that they are running.
Yes, sir. That makes so much sense. So I know we talking about like sticking, I mean, things staying together, cohesion. So like, what are the key indicators that leadership team lacks cohesion? Can they address, these challenges?
Yeah, well, there's usually, a bunch of different symptoms coming up. So it's a good thing for you, to ask about that, Sean. One of the first things that I tend to sort of see is usually the business owner, or leader of the business starts having that feeling like they're just not in control of it anymore. Like the business is running them instead of they are running the business, right? And usually I find listening to people and talking with people that, when they start the business, things are going well and they start getting a few more employees and we get up to 10 employees and things are going fine. And we get to about 15 employees. And then it sort of starts to get to this point where they're like, I just kind of don't have my arms around this anymore, right? And the business starts running them. So that idea or
Mm.
that sort of feeling from the business owner is one of the first clues is like, there's just too much stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
There's too many people coming into my office saying, hey, boss, what am I
Hmm.
supposed to do about this? Hey, boss, what about this? Or we got this problem, this issue, right? They're just not in control of it. So that's one of the first symptoms. Another one that we see is frustration around people. People are
Yeah, that's true.
wonderful, right? But every single person, we're all
Yeah.
unique, and people coming to work, you know, people can be frustrating at times, right? That they, you
Definitely.
think you've told them how to do something three times and they're still doing it wrong, or, we've got systems in place, they're not following the systems. That sort of degree of, do we really have all of the right people? Like, do we have people who are part of the team? Right?
Hmm.
Everybody's sailing in the same direction. Or do we have people that are kind of sailing off in their own
Yeah,
direction? Right?
exactly.
Do we have people who are really great at the job that we're asking them to do. And we have this metric or this filter, we call it GWC, which means do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity to do their job? And by that, I
Mm.
mean, you know, does somebody fundamentally get the job that we're asking them to do? When we explain the job to them, can we see
That's
the
true.
neurons in their brain connecting? Can we see their eyes
Hmm.
lighting up? They get it, right? They
Hmm.
understand fundamentally what the job requires. Do they want it? Do they roll out of bed in the morning wanting to come do the work, right? Or are they kind of dragging themselves in the front door and, all mopey Eeyore
Hmm.
types? And then the C is capacity. Do they have the training? Do they have the talent? Do they have the expertise to be really great at what we're asking them to do, right? And so we want to get all the right people in the right seats, people who fit the team, fit the culture you really love, doing the things that they're really great at in the business. So that's another symptom that we're looking at is do we have all the right people in the right seats? Another thing that we look at and we see is that maybe The business is frankly just not generating enough
Hmm.
profit to justify, the financial investment in the business, the time investment in the business, and the emotional investment in the business, right? Because we've got typically, a leadership team that's investing either financially or through time or through their mental emotional energy into the business. And are all those efforts generating enough profit? Or are we seeing in the business that there are too many mistakes happening, right? There's
Hmm.
too much rework, too many do-overs, all of those little things that just kind of chip away
Yeah.
and dilute and reduce and diminish the amount of profit that should be coming out of the business. So that's another symptom that we kind of look at.
So I mean that those are all important steps, like I have a control, dealing with the emotions of people, the frustrations that because people they come to work, they're not bad people, just sometimes they bring in baggage from whatever their home situation, and sometimes that reflects into the work environment, and then and having enough profit in the business. And then, just the different small factors that bring a business together. Sometimes if one thing is not working properly, it's going to subtract from the business and diminish the business in a sense, and
Yeah.
which not overall is not going to bring elevate and lift the business up,
Mm.
so that these are
Yeah.
very, very important, and then the person like, having the capacity, do they want it? And so all those are very important. And what, overall, it makes the whole, I guess say the whole pie of a team structure, and the environment, which, if those different factors are not syncing or not in line, it's gonna hurt the business. It's gonna hurt the leadership. It's gonna hurt the team environment. So
Yeah. Well, I
mhm,
think, like one of the number one factors as to why businesses don't make it is because of misalignment,
mhm,
right? Misalignment on the leadership team, misalignment around the vision, misalignment around, the tactics and the systems that we're putting in place,
mhm,
and misalignment in terms of, the team. It's sort of like I have this analogy when I start working with clients, like if you've ever, been around like 6-year-olds playing soccer, right? Like the
mhm,
whole group are just like chasing the ball all together, right?
yeah,
Everybody's chasing after the ball, right? But what's more effective is when we grow up and we mature and we can get into team positions, right? And then in team positions, we pass the ball to each
yeah,
other, right? And then we can get around the competition and ultimately score a goal, right? But it's that growing up, it's having that maturity to and the discipline, right? To
mhm,
be able to maintain a position, to know that, my role is to be, the right forward, right? And I've got to maintain that position, get myself into the right place on the pitch, and then someone's going to pass the ball to me, then I can be in a position to score, right? So I've got to work with a leadership team to get them
mhm.
into the right positions so that they can pass the work, right? They can pass the ball, they can pass whatever it is that needing to be done in the business effectively from one person to the next. And everybody's got a role to play. And if they stay in their roles and help each other and support each other and provide backup, it becomes a marvelous thing.
Yeah, you're right though. It's like having the I guess the right person in the wrong spot is not gonna benefit them, and it's not gonna benefit the team, And so sometimes just moving like I said, moving the chess pieces into the right spot and make sure that that person in the right spot for them is always gonna help them. It's gonna help the team. How can can you share like some practical strategies for developing mental fitness and resilience in high stress, business environments?
Yeah. This is a very important thing you're asking about, Sean, and you alluded to it earlier in our conversation when we talk about a leadership team as a group of individuals, right, who are coming together around the leadership team table. How each person, each individual sees the world is incredibly important. And by that, I mean, are they coming into work seeing the world as a place of abundance, that there is enough,
Mhm.
right, that there is possibility? Or do they come to work from a stance of scarcity, that there isn't enough, that we're not going to win, right? That sort of
Mhm.
idea of looking out at the world, that's what I call these inner stances, right? So just the same way, when
Mhm.
you're playing baseball, like a batter has a stance, right? When they're getting ready
Mhm.
to
Exactly.
receive the pitch and hit the ball, they set their feet, right? When we talk about mental fitness training, I'm talking about leaders, setting their metaphorical feet, their stance mentally, right? And so part of that, the mental, setting your stance is how do you see the world, right? The second stance that I look at that's very key is how does an individual leader see other people? And by this, I
Mhm.
mean, are they one of these sort of people that kind of comes to work and, they're pointing the finger and they're casting blame and if they have an inner stance that their people are lazy, their people are no good, their people are mess
Yeah.
ups, right? That's a mental stance.
Mhm.
Or they can come to work with the inner stance of my people are doing their best. My people are awesome. They're trying to figure it out. My people are going to try. They're going to go to the edge and they might fail. And that's a good thing because I want them to find, where that edge is, right? So
Mhm.
it's a mental stance about how a leader sees other people. And then finally, and very importantly, it's the mental stance of how does the leader see themselves, right? And so
Mhm.
I work with, business owners who, they don't have large teams, right? We're running small to medium-sized businesses. We don't have committees around to go and
Yeah.
machinate over decisions all the time. In a
Mhm.
small to medium-sized business, we got to have somebody accountable in a position and they need to make decisions. Every single day, they have to make weighty, momentous decisions about the business. And
Mhm.
so I see then the effect that that has, right? When we talk about mental fitness training and mental fitness, I know people go home and they wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and they're like, oh my gosh, did I make the right decision today,
Mhm.
yesterday? Did I make, am I good enough for this job? Right? That's a mental stance of seeing themselves. Do they fundamentally see that they're the right person for the job? So when I start working with clients on their mental fitness, we start looking at what we call, these inner stances, and particularly too, um, what I would call non-useful thinking, right? Because when we
Mhm.
have these thoughts, and we're all human, right, Sean? And I'm
Yes,
not
we are
saying
definitely.
we're not going to have thoughts, but we can look at our thoughts and we can sort of figure out like, are these useful thoughts? Are these thoughts that are helping me get to where I want to go? Are these thoughts that are helping me have, positive,
Mhm.
inspirational interactions with people at work? Or are my thoughts not useful? Are my thoughts holding me back? Are my thoughts holding back my interactions with my team? And so I'm not being an effective leader for my
Mhm.
team, right? Or are my thoughts not helping me in terms of how I see the environment and the world and what might be possible for the vision of the business, right? And so if we're seeing these negative thoughts or these useful thoughts, when I work with my clients, I'm working with them to just start noticing, like, oh, that thought I just had about that person, hmm, that might not be the most useful thing
Okay.
for me to be thinking right now, because from those thoughts, if I have that, and then my mouth, those thoughts start coming out my mouth, I
Mhm.
might say the wrong thing to that person and I might hurt their feelings. I might tick them off. They might say to heck with this and resign and they're done.
Mhm.
And I've just lost a really great person because I had a non-useful thought and had that thing come out my mouth in a non-useful way, right?
Exactly.
So I just work with my clients to be able to start seeing these non-useful thoughts and to realize that you actually have a choice. You can actually start creating a little gap between stimulus and response and
Mhm.
choose your thoughts. Now, this is it's a simple concept that I'm talking about. It's not easy
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I've been on this planet for quite a few decades. We all start having these sort of well-worn tracks in our minds, about
Hmm.
sort of how thoughts go, and if we see this, then this, then this, right? These well-worn tracks in our minds,
Hmm.
in our thinking. And what I'm talking about here is saying, well, okay, I have this well-worn track, but I can choose a different track. Now, that well-worn track, I've got to choose to get off that well-worn track, and I've got to get on a different track with my thinking. And this is where mental fitness training comes in. So just like training for any sport, right? We go out there, we want to run a marathon. Well, we got to go out there and start doing the miles every single day in and day
Yeah,
out, week in
definitely.
and week out, right? Till we get fit enough to go run a marathon. Mental fitness training is exactly the same. We've got to step off that well-worn track, step onto the new track of new thinking, choose that, and just start making that become our default way. And so I've got, just as an EOS, when I'm working with leadership teams, I've got frameworks for how we get that leadership team heading in the same
Mhm.
direction. When I'm working with individual executives, I've got frameworks that help us get off of that non-useful thinking and choose a more useful way to think, choose better choices. But it's all about putting in the reps. It's not a one and done. I don't have a magic wand. I can't
Mhm.
just magically change somebody. It's their choice, but they have to practice. And part of what I do is really see that we create every single day through our language, through our thinking. And we can
Mhm.
speak our day into creation and see it happen through our thoughts and our words. But we have to just realize that we're going to start every day anew, start every
Mhm.
day with that. And whatever happens in the day, maybe it goes sideways, stuff happens. We just need to forgive the day, release it, let it go, and start every next day. We're just going to do this again until we get good at it. Put in the
Mhm.
reps.
That's a lot, you unpacked right there in that one question.
Yep.
I mean, for I guess I would say the uninitiated or the person that may not be new to this line of thinking, you really gave them something to really build upon right there. Because I mean, I got a good paragraph of notes just from that one response. So I'm like, but it's so true though, like, the repetition,
Hmm.
you if you want to make a change for us, mentally, you have to have the repetition of thinking the right thoughts, saying the right words, and basically because like your thoughts become things. So that you saying
Yes.
about the non-useful thoughts. If you constantly, you say about changing the path, if your thoughts are always on that path of say negativity or lack of confidence or whatever it may be, you're going to create more of that because you're on that path. But if you
Yeah.
can have repetition to get you away from that I guess non-useful thinking, you're going to bring about change in your day, in your life, but you said like so you have to do the reps.
Yeah.
So I know we talked a lot about your yacht racing, and I know that's a big part of your experience and what made you who you are. So what lessons from your experience in high performance yacht racing can business leaders apply to improve team collaboration and decision making?
That's a that's a big question, and it's a lot of different components of what we've talked about already, I think, sort of come from that. And so, in other words, you know, number one, having a really great team,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I think that this is so critical. There is the phrase out there, culture eats strategy for lunch, right? So it doesn't matter about all of the vision and everything like that. If we don't have the right team culture, we ain't going anywhere. So, I mean, that is one of the huge lessons that I learned, and that's been a
Mhm.
huge driver, passion of mine, is, really finding these frameworks and mastering these frameworks so that I can teach them and coach others to be able to get the really great team in place to be able to go do what you want to do. I think the other things that come up for me, so when I was working on a professional sailing team, I trained as a navigator. And so a navigator's job is to know the destination, like where we're trying to get to, right? And that's the vision piece, like this is where we're
Hmm.
going, right? But the art of navigation is really like finding the fastest course through to the destination and taking account of, the wind conditions, the wave conditions, the physical obstacles in the way, like land,
Yeah.
rocks, reef,
Yeah.
that sort of thing, right? We got to avoid that stuff. And then also taking into account the competition, like where are they? And right, so we're sort of
Mhm.
being both strategic and tactical in terms of finding the fastest course through. And I think um, that's really what I sort of see that lesson coming from yacht racing is into a business environment is, um, we need a system for navigation for the business. And that's what EOS is, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's a system for how we get all of the human energy navigating our way the fastest, surest way through to the finish in the business. And, I think part of the art of navigation too is that we don't just like start the race, set the course, and forget it, right?
Yeah.
And just, because the conditions change, right? The wind changes direction, the waves change direction, our competitors shift positions. And so the art of navigation is always trying to, assess what's going on with the external environmental conditions and bring that in and,
Real time.
revise the course, right? Update the course. And I think that's what we do with EOS. Because I meet with, after we set the initial course with my clients, then every 90 days, once a quarter, I come back and I work with them to reassess the environmental conditions, reassess how we've done, and then set the new course for the next 90 days. And so there's that exact analogy from the yacht racing through to helping a leadership team in a business navigate their way through to getting what they want ultimately with the business.
So in the EOS process, when you work with a client, whether it's individual, team, like how long is the process? Like I know you say you meet every 90 days. It's like a year-long process, or how long does that last?
Yeah, good question. It's typically about 2 years. So, I work with the team to teach the team a set of tools. I help facilitate their discussion around how they implement those tools in the business, and I coach them along the way. And just like any, sports team, usually the first year is a little rough, right?
Yeah.
And then the second year, the team's we've got our positions, we've got the muscle
Yeah.
memory, we kind of know how to play together, and now
Mhm.
let's go for the goal, right? And
Mhm.
that's kind of, how I sort of see it play out. It's a 2 year journey that I go on with my clients. It's a long-term mental commitment for them to really fundamentally shift the trajectory of their business and how they're
Mhm.
working together.
It's really good. I mean, I get with your system, the actual operating system, and everything that you have in place. The core of your teachings. I mean, I feel like if a person or a team individual really sticks to it, there's no way they could not achieve or their goals and their vision for their business, for their personal individual self. I mean, I can't see how they could fail.
Well, but the
You know?
operative thing you said in that sentence is they stick with it, right? And so my
Yeah.
clients who stick with it, who do the work, who show up, um, they succeed. And the people who don't stick with it, who don't do the reps, they don't ultimately get what they want. I'm a coach, right? And just as I was saying earlier on, in our conversation, like I'm not getting in my car to go over to their house to get them up out of bed, to get their
Yeah.
shoes laced on and dragging them to the gym.
Yeah.
No, they got to
Yeah.
get themselves to the gym. If they get themselves to the gym, I'm all in. I'm helping them. I'm coaching them, right? But they've got to get
I
themselves to
got
the
you.
gym and they've got to have that burning
Yeah.
desire to come to the gym because they want to get better. I can't do that
Yeah.
for them. It's got to come from them.
Wow, that's really incredible. And so during that process, the 2-year process, are your clients, the teams, do they get a chance to come to your sacred space, to the farm, and have that experience with you there?
Yes, well, that's something that I'm creating. I'm working on that this year. So it's not all in place yet, but that's my vision, right? That I'm creating this sacred space. So I mostly work in Colorado. I've got clients in a number of different states across the US. I do travel for my clients. And then, but, Colorado is not a bad place to come visit. And, we can go mountain biking in the summer and hiking. In the winter, you got
Yeah.
skiing, snowboarding, snowmobiling,
Yeah.
all sorts of cool stuff. It's a
Wow.
beautiful place to come visit for those
Yeah.
who aren't here.
Great food, I'm sure. Great environment. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no,
Hmm.
I really enjoy living here and creating the things we're creating. And I truly enjoy the work that I do with my clients, with leadership teams and helping them visualize sitting on that beach and getting there.
Yeah, man, I really enjoyed this conversation with you, meeting you, getting a chance to talk with you, learn about your life, learn about everything you're doing within your organization and your team, your company. So it's really really good experience. I've learned a lot. I got about 3 pages of notes, so just it's a lot of scribble, but I have to go through and make it fresh. But yeah, I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. I
Well, you're
feel
very
like the
welcome.
audience will gain from this conversation.
Yes. And so, as people have sort of listened to this, if they want to reach out to me, I can be found at stevemorriscoaching.com is a good place to reach me. I've got a monthly newsletter. I've got a free course on that website, stevemorriscoaching.com. It's called Create Your Morning of Distinction. And it's a course that really just helps people like get their mental stance set right for the day. So that's free. It's a free course. It's on my website at stevemorriscoaching.com.
And before we go, I don't always ask this question, but sometimes I do, and I feel like it's a good time to ask it. If you had the opportunity to go back in time, and revisit your 21-year-old self, well, like what advice would you give to yourself if you had the opportunity?
So I think this is a good question, and I think I've sort of largely followed the advice I would still give myself, which is always to keep maximizing your opportunities through through learning, through education, through taking on projects, through, being in new situations. Like you never know where stuff leads, but I always do believe that like keep maximizing the window of opportunities in front of you. Don't close things off if you can help it. And, there's been times in my life when I've kind of got busy and things, but I do, if I look back now, the times when I went and did an MBA, right? And that opens some doors. I went and became a certified project manager that opens doors. That all of these things, like you take them on, they open windows of opportunity. They create portals of possibility for you to walk through. So
Exactly.
always keep maximizing the choices in front of you.
Beautiful, beautiful. I really love that. Portals of possibility. I never heard that before. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Really good. All right, man. Well, Steve, man, it's like I said, it's been great, and just thank you for blessing the Heighten Your family with your wisdom and knowledge and all your expertise. And I hope we have a conversation sometime in the future. And much love and luck to everything that you're doing, everything you're creating. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. This has been a great conversation and bless you too. Thank you for hosting and inviting me on your show. I appreciate it, truly.
Good. I appreciate it, man. And like I said, it's another great episode with Heighten Your Sixth Sense, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Much love.
All right.